Paul Graham from Optimal Body Personal Training. In this video, I'm going to go through 5 keys to creating lasting habits in your life. So the first one is to identify the why behind wanting to create or stop a certain habit. So really identify why that change is important to you. Most people usually scratch the surface with this. For example, if they are looking to change habits to lose weight, they'll say, I want to feel more confident. You need to have a strong enough why that it actually helps to motivate you, gets you excited about changing that habit. You want something when you look at the habit and you look at the why is stronger than the pull towards that habit. Most people usually don't have a strong enough why. So as soon as things start to get a little bit challenging, they don't have that strong emotional pull from their why to help to motivate them and push them through that. The second thing, are you trying to create a new habit or break an old habit? Sometimes a person is trying to create a new habit. So for example, I'm drinking 3 liters of water a day. On the flip side of that, sometimes people are trying to break what they view as a bad habit. So for example, snacking or eating late at night on unhealthy food. It's been my experience that people have a much easier time creating a habit compared to trying to break a habit. What you can do if you have a negative habit that you're trying to get out of, try to look at what positive habit can you create so you have something to focus on. Let's stick with the example I used of trying to break the habit of snacking on unhealthy food late at night. Most people will go about this by trying to use willpower to focus on not snacking on unhealthy food. Something a lot of our clients have found helpful is to instead invest their energy on something they can do. So for example, with that, often late night snacking has a lot to do with mental emotional triggers that cause the desire to eat. Instead of focusing on not snacking late at night, a strategy that works well for a lot of people is, for example, to focus on writing out what emotional trigger or mental trigger is causing their desire to eat at night. And so they're not even at first trying to solve the problem of no longer snacking late at night on unhealthy food. Instead, they're investing their energy on simply understanding, well, what's triggering me and what's causing me to have this strong desire. And the thing is, by taking away that pressure of not following through on the habit, people actually start to create a new habit. And just by actually taking time to write down what the mental emotional triggers are, that helps to start decreasing the actual desire to snack late at night. If you have a habit you're trying to break, look at what is the new habit I could create instead that would help to direct me or focus me away from that. Third, if you're trying to break a bad habit, identify what problem is that habit trying to solve, or what need is that habit meeting? Stick with the same example. If someone wanted to stop overeating late at night, most people wouldn't think of snacking late at night as either solving a problem or meeting a need. But again, most people are either trying to solve a problem. For example, if they had a stressful day, their brain would like to relieve that sensation of stress. And at least for a little while, when they eat certain foods, that will help to release chemicals that make them feel less stressed. So it's trying to solve a problem potentially of reducing stress. Or same thing where it might be meeting a mental emotional need where they're using that to help to break from boredom or any other number of different things. Often a lot of negative habits are rooted in the brain trying to solve some sort of problem or meet some sort of need. So really try to slow down and identify what is this habit providing me with that's positive. The fourth thing in trying to create lasting habits is break your habit down into smaller pieces. Most people oftentimes are trying to create habits that are really, really large change. For example, let's say that you were sleeping 5 hours a night currently, and you're like, I want to sleep 8 hours a night. That's a huge change to make. So instead, break this down into something smaller that feels more doable. A strategy a lot of clients find helpful is to pause, think about the change they're going to try to create to their habit, and ask themselves, on a scale of 0 to 10, how confident am I that I can follow through on that habit? If you're not at least a 9 out of 10, make the habit smaller. Stick with the same example of sleeping and trying to shift from 5 hours a night to 8 hours a night. If you ask this person 0 to 10, how confident are you can follow through on sleeping 8 hours a night, good chance they're gonna tell you maybe like a 1 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10. Now, if you slowly shrink that down, let's say you ask them, how confident are you you could consistently go to bed 15 minutes earlier, they would probably have a much higher rating. What you do is shrink the change so it's small enough that you're at least a 9 out of 10 confident you can follow through on that habit. Then you keep building on that, going a little bit farther and a little bit farther. Finally, the fifth thing that will help you to create lasting habits is to focus around a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. Simply put, a fixed mindset usually looks at a task more as either a pass or a fail. We'll stick with the same example I just used about getting to bed 15 minutes earlier. A person who has a fixed mindset, if they miss going to bed one night or 2 nights 15 minutes earlier, they'll think that they failed. So it's essentially grading yourself on a pass-fail system and thinking that either you can do something or you can't. Either you do something or you don't. On the other hand, a growth mindset, if the person missed going to bed for a day or 2 days, 15 minutes earlier, they wouldn't start beating themselves up. Instead, they would just stop and say, well, okay, what happened? How come I wasn't able to actually go to bed 15 minutes earlier? Essentially, you're being solution focused, where you're trying to understand, well, what's getting in the way of my habit? What do I need to change about what I'm doing? You're looking at this as a learning process instead of something that you simply pass or fail. And so you're just collecting more data in terms of what works for you or what doesn't, and figuring out, how do I actually make this habit stay in my lifestyle on a consistent basis? The more you start looking at things in terms of a growth mindset and looking at it as a learning process, the easier it is to start to consistently do this habit. So there you have 5 different things to help create lasting habits in your day-to-day life.